How's around the house? In this video I'm going to show you how to fit a wall plug into a masonry wall. I'm going to show you how to drill the hole to put the plug in the wall. And I'm going to show you how to apply the screw into the plug to allow you to attach any of your fixings to the wall. And I'll show you a few useful tips along the way. In order to drill your hole in the wall, you're going to need an electric drill. I'm using the Makita LXT DHP 458. This is a great piece of kit and I'll be reviewing this in one of my other videos. Before we drill our hole, we need to know what size drill bit to use. These wall plugs come in a range of different sizes and different colours, and colours are coded to different sizes. For this particular plug I'm going to need to use a 6mm drill bit. Now once you've established what size drill bit you got and what size plug you're using, you also need to know what size screw goes into the plug. For a 6mm plug like this, you can either use an 8 or 10 gauge screw. Gauge is just a measuring term used in screws. The smaller the number, the smaller the thickness of the screw. In this example I'm using a Fisher plug. If you look just to the side there, they've got these little bird pieces. I particularly like these plugs because this stops the plug from retracting easily from the wall when you're applying your screw. You can use whichever plugs you like, but I always go for the ones with the burrs, and I particularly like the Fisher brand. In this example I'm just hanging a child's wall light, so I only need a very short screw. And I'm using general purpose screws, and they're 8x1, which means 8 gauge thickness and 1 inch in length. Don't forget, when you're drilling your hole, it not only needs to be long enough for the plug, but it also needs to be long enough for the screw you're applying. In this case, my screw is shorter than the plug, so the length of the plug is fine. But if I wanted a screw that was going to go on a little bit longer, you'd need to allow for the length of the screw, not just the length of the plug. If you didn't, you'll find that the screw will hit the masonry at the back of the plug and start to drive backwards, and you'll find that your plug will unwind and start coming out of the wall. Whenever I'm drilling a wall, I like to go in first with a thinner drill bit, and what this does is gives you a nice neat pilot hole to drive the larger drill bit in afterwards. By doing this you ensure that you don't get any crumbly wall coming out. In an old house like this, you've got lime plaster around the place, it's like old coal ash and it'll crumble everywhere. So by going in with a nice neat hole first, you get much better results. Don't forget, when drilling into masonry, you need a masonry drill bit. The other thing to note is when you're drilling in, always start on the normal drill setting. For that, I'm using this one here. Once I get a bit of resistance, if the wall's a bit tough, I can then move it onto this, the hammer, and that is hammer action, and that will help drive my masonry drill bit into the wall. Before you drill the wall, there's two little tips I want to show you. The first tip is to hold a Hoover underneath the point at which you're drilling. By doing this you'll catch all the dust in the Hoover and making less mess all over the floor. The problem with this method is that sometimes it's a bit tricky drilling with one hand and holding the Hoover with the other. In this demonstration I'm using the Makita LXT Hoover, and I'll review this in another video. Turn the end of the Hoover round the other way so that it's facing up. Take your drill, turn the Hoover on and start drilling. And take your Hoover and go over the hole. My second method is to use a piece of tape. Masking tape is best, but I'm using sellotape today. And an envelope. Put your piece of tape across your envelope like that. Take the tip of your envelope, put a little fold in it like that, and you'll find that'll sit out off the wall. And when you put your drill bit in and you start drilling, hey presto, all your dust drops into your envelope. This method's really useful if you're unable to use one hand to hold the Hoover. So back on with the job in hand, I've made a pilot hole. I'm now going to turn the drill onto hammer action, and I'm going to drive a little bit harder into the wall until I get the full depth required. Always a good idea still to go over it with a Hoover, and that just ensures you get any excess dust out of that hole. Right, I'm going to take the small drill bit out now, and I'm going to replace it with the 6mm drill bit. The 6mm drill bit is the bit that I need for my plug. So same again, back in the hole. By having done the pilot hole, the 6mm drill bit goes to that really easily. So here's our hole. I got my plug. Just take the plug, just push it into the wall. If you have any trouble getting the plug right in but you know the hole is big enough, just get a hammer and just give it a gentle tap into the wall until it's flush with the wall. Then take your screw Put your screw in the wall, then just get your Phillips screwdriver and tighten that up by hand. So by screwing that into the wall like I've done, you can now hang something on there like a picture or a frame. Now if you were just hanging something on the wall and you actually wanted to fix something to the wall, like this light fitting, you would just take your screw, put it through the hole of the fitting. I offer this up to the plug, take my screwdriver, take the point of your screw, place it into the plug, tighten up, and you can then fix that to the wall just like that. And that's secured to the wall. If you ever want to remove the plug, just put your screw in gently, just give it a couple of turns until you feel it tighten, and then pull back and you'll find that the screw will have gripped the plug and it's starting to come out. Now with this plug, because of the two burrs I showed you earlier, it's actually a bit more difficult, but with a bit of persuasion you can see that's starting to come out of the wall. There are other plugs on the market designed to go specifically into plasterboard where there is no masonry behind it. I'll give a demonstration of these in another video. And that's how to fit a wall plug. For more DIY, how-to, household tips and product review, please watch my other videos and don't forget to subscribe. I've been Pouse Around the House. Ta-ta, farewell.